everyone. We are back for another episode of In the City con Cristi, and today I have a very special guest. All my guests are very special, but today especially someone that everyone has been wanting to hear from. I think his arrival was just about as popular as mine was. Is our Chief of Police, Edwin Lopez. Edwin, thank you for joining us today, Chief.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Edwin and I, our chief of police, have been going out and meeting with the community. You had a cafecito with a cop almost, every week about. You've had the opportunity to be out in the community since you came on board and be able to chat with our residents, which is something that I think is so important for our residents to have that connection with our police, to have the closeness, to create that community policing, which I know at the school board, it was very important for you, and we're so glad that you've brought that idea to the city of Doral, because I think that that's what our residents want, is that they want to be able to see our police, feel the presence, and build that relationship. Tell me how you felt. Well, I guess you're not even 100 days yet. Almost. My 100 days are coming up, and yours are right behind mine.
Yeah, it's been an amazing 2 months, to be honest with you. I've always heard amazing things in Doral. As a matter of fact, when I was at the school board, we had a partnership with Doral in terms of school safety and certain measures. Doral houses some of the safest schools in this country. So that's awesome to arrive at a city with open arms, to an amazing leadership team in terms of yourself and our city manager, someone who's vibrant as well, and brings an amazing amount of energy, and the vice mayor, and just the elected officials in this community support law enforcement and the residents as well. So it was a no-brainer when I had the blessing to be
a part of the team.
Named the chief of police here. Yes.
Yeah, well, we're so excited that you took the plunge with us and decided to come and make this city a better city. We have a great city, and we're blessed to be in the community that we're in, but it's all about leaving the place better than what we found it. And there's always areas that we can improve. And while our city is an extremely safe community, I always love what you say. It's like you can never guarantee 100% safety. What you can do is be proactive and initiate programs and opportunities to make it an even safer place. And so I always think that that's such a great way to describe what the city of Doral is. We're a safe community, we're a family-oriented community, and what we want to do is provide additional ways that our community stays safe, encourages more people to be able to make this their home or their place of business, and how we can be a more proactive community policing force. And so I'd love to hear, and I know you and I have discussed, but I want to share with those who watch In the City con Cristi, which is made up of all the incredible people that make up Doral. I always talk about that we bring people from inside the city, everyone from our city manager that we've been able to interview, to other elected officials. I had our vice mayor, and I've had Councilwoman Porras on, and I hope to have more of our leadership team, because I think it's so important for the residents to see from internally what it is that we do, but also to meet people that make up the city, from business owners to organization leaders to moms and students. And so for the month of May, I'm thinking of doing a roundtable with students to talk about mental health. So this is just a platform for people to be able to share their experience in the city of Doral. And so from your perspective, I'd love to hear about some of your projects or things that you'd like to do in our community or to improve our police department that you feel that will help us be more proactive in the type of crime that we do see in our community.
Sure. So, last Friday, I rode a bicycle. We rode about 15 miles here. I got some of the command staff and some of the officers, and we rode bike through the city, through the streets, to 36th Street, to 41st, into some of the shopping centers, to try to get a pulse on exactly what's going on. What occurred last year or 2 years ago is different from what's occurring now, and it's different of what's going to occur next year. So Doral is very fluid. It's growing. It's more than doubled in the last 10 years. So that element brings natural change to the city. So we can't police the same way we did today as we did yesterday as we do tomorrow. It has to be different strategies, and community policing is a term that's thrown around, but many people don't understand the value of it or what it entails. But with that, we have to also remember that we need to keep the city safe. And with that, the police officers need to be trained and equipped with the tools and the skill set that are going to be available and present and ready to keep the city safe. God forbid we have a critical incident. A critical incident we've seen occurred in schools, an active shooter. We've seen it occur in supermarkets. We've seen it occur in churches. We've seen it occur in movie theaters. We've seen it occur in
parking lots,
in
even
country concerts in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. It can happen anywhere. So our cops need to be twofold, and that's why the profession is so difficult. You have to be, hugging kids and giving them five and mentoring and doing career day on Monday, but on Tuesday you could be directing traffic. On Wednesday you are doing proactive patrol. On Thursday you're doing traffic enforcement, and on Friday you're dealing with a critical incident. So you have to wear many different hats as a law enforcement officer, and my job is to create those opportunities, and not always think that just because we're a safe city, realize that we're a commuter city as well, where people come and travel through to get to other destinations, and with that comes certain issues. So our officers have made a true dent in crime over the last 2 months. We've closed more than 20 burglary cases to vehicles. We've made numerous narcotic seizures and firearms, not because Doral is unsafe. As a matter of fact, that's the reason why Doral is safe. These are not residents of Doral that are committing these crimes. These are individuals from the community that are using Doral as a corridor to travel through, doing their illegal business and transactions. So our officers are comfortable enough and trained enough to ensure that if you're driving through Doral and you're committing a crime, we are ready to take action.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that those are the initiatives that will allow people to see that presence, which I talk about a lot. And I think is so important for people to see the increased presence in our community, but also to really understand what community policing is, right? And it's like you said, it's wearing all those different hats and being able to understand the mental health component of it and how to deal with our students and our teens, even in our parks, outside of schools, but or even coming to a home, right, and dealing with maybe a child who has special needs, right, understanding how to be sensible to those situations, but then understanding that you could go into a situation that's very aggressive too. So, I think that it creates a new respect for law enforcement, and with that, I want to lead into, we have something called the Citizens Police Academy.
Sure.
And so I always encourage residents. We also have the Citizens Academy, the Mayor's Citizens Academy here, where people get to learn, or residents can come and participate and get to learn a little bit about what we do at City Hall, all the different departments, and it's a great way for residents to understand the inner workings of government. The Citizens Police Academy was created for people to be also sensible to what's happening in law enforcement and understanding what it takes to a certain perspective. So tell us a little bit about the Citizens Police Academy, what it is that residents can expect so that we can encourage some of our residents to get involved and join the Police Academy as well. I'm sorry, the Citizens Police Academy as well.
Sure. Well, the Citizens Police Academy is paramount. It's extremely important to us here. We know that true safety involves not only law enforcement, but it involves the grandmother and grandfather. It involves the business owner. It involves the residents, students. To be truly safe, we need multiple layers of security. And the Citizens Police Academy gives residents in Doral who may not be in the traditional law enforcement field a sense of what it takes to be a law enforcement officer, and gives them a unique skill set into addressing violent crime or any crime. It could be a nuisance crime, it could be traffic, it could be a multitude of things, and gives them just enough of a glimpse of it that they can aid in law enforcement. It spans 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the course. They generally meet once a week for a few hours, and they do a multitude of things. They take a tour of our real-time operations center. They take some training in traffic stops. They take some training in the actual range, where they get to see firearms training and what that entails. They get to look at our policies and procedure. They get to utilize other aspects of the department and really get a glimpse as to what does it take to be a police officer in this day and age, the digital era, an era of cameras, an era of technological advances that we have in Doral, which are a blessing. But they get to really look at that and provide assistance to us down the line. And many folks sometimes end up going applying to be a police officer with the city. So it's an amazing opportunity for many. Whether you're going to go into law enforcement or not, it provides that citizen a unique perspective into our agency.
Absolutely. I think it's extremely important for people to get that, see that side of it and get that perspective. And I think it changes their perspective of how the police department operates. So you mentioned when you were talking now about the real-time operations center. And that leads me to kind of my next question, which is, you were the police chief of the largest the largest policing agency for schools, right? Which was Miami-Dade County Public Schools, had the largest police department, with fourth largest school district in the nation. You've seen all different police departments because you worked hand in hand with police departments throughout Miami-Dade County. Tell us a little bit about what Doral is doing different, and the technology we have, and just the incredible opportunities that we have as a community to offer that additional layer of security to our businesses, to our residents, and of course I know what those are, but again, sharing with those who are watching us the unique opportunity they have to connect with our police department to offer that additional security.
Well, I'll start with the nucleus, the real-time operations center. I mean, it's a central hub, a nucleus where we house not only personnel in terms of human capital, but also the technological advances that truly make Doral unique and safer than any community in Miami-Dade County. Starting with the extensive license plate reader system, we have hundreds of cameras at intersections just to monitor traffic, monitor certain nuances that we need to have a pulse on. The license plate readers basically are major intersections and certain corridors in our city where immediately if there's a vehicle that goes into our city that is stolen or that has a stolen tag or numerous other infractions, we're in real time notified and we can dispatch personnel in real time. We also have the ability to communicate with other law enforcement agencies in terms of a critical incident. And we have something very new that started under your tenure, which is a program called Doral Connect, which affords the opportunity for neighborhoods and associations to link their cameras, of course, in public settings and in common areas, to our real-time operations center so that we can monitor them under a critical incident. For example, if you have a suspicious person driving in a neighborhood at 2 in the morning, we're able to tap into those cameras and monitor them and address that accordingly. And that's something that's important. The community needs to know that businesses have the same capabilities to be able to connect to our real-time operations center so that police can monitor them. Not on a 24/7 basis, but during a critical incident, we signed memorandum of understandings with these businesses, with these associations, and we're able to utilize the technology for the betterment of the entire community.
Yeah, and I think that using technology is really an opportunity for additional security, right? And so the Doral Connect is a great way to offer, again, that other layer of security to our business owners as well as to our associations, and helps us combat those small crimes that we're seeing. So the crime that we're seeing in Doral, and I want to talk a little bit about that, and you can help me. What are the types of crimes that we're most seeing in Doral? What are the most calls of service we're getting in Doral? And how do we become more proactive on that? And then talk to me a little bit about the cases we've been able to close due to the increased technology and the support that you've seen in the investment that has been made on technology in Doral.
Well, sure. The calls for service that Doral see mostly are traffic related many times. Obviously, traffic is an issue. There's ongoing construction. It's something that we're very proactive with. It's not something that is solved overnight through education, through construction projects. It's something that we are able to navigate, and it's something that we do a pretty decent job of dealing with the amount of residents that we have, business owners and visitors to the city. But we also are experiencing a host of burglaries to vehicles. It's something that is very common, and in Doral, it's a lucrative site for criminals to come steal.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's because the residents here are known to feel very safe in their communities, and most of the time, we're seeing in these cases that they're leaving their vehicles unlocked and unattended in overnight hours, and that obviously is a specific target to some of these delinquents, some of these criminals that are specifically walking around checking hundreds of doors, see if someone left it open, and they know that there's a percentage that leaves their doors unlocked.
Yeah.
And some of these recent subjects have been 17 and 18-year-old kids that are walking around at 2, 3 in the morning. And of course, where are the parents? Where are the guardians? Where are the folks? But obviously, there's an issue at home when these kids are allowed to be out during the week at that time. But that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
But in terms of Doral, that's where most of the crime that we're experiencing are because the residents are being very vulnerable, leaving their doors unlocked, their garage doors open, their rear sliding doors open in their
That
house.
false sense of security we talk about all the time in the closed communities. It happens to all of us. We feel that we're in a safe community. We feel that false sense of security that because we're in a closed community, you can leave your cars unlocked. I know people that leave things they should not be leaving in their car all the time, and that's what happens. They're victims of these crimes because you feel that you're in a safe community, which is great. We want you to feel that you're in a safe community, but it's important to understand that criminals are looking for these vulnerabilities to be able to come and commit those crimes because it's easier. It's easier to commit those crimes there. So I think an education campaign, which is what we're doing, is extremely important. This is part of it. But going out into the communities, I want to thank you because you've made yourself very much available to be able to go out into the communities, meet with residents, educate them, provide information, which is so important on how they can make their communities safer, really take advantage of the technology we have, and understand that while we are a safe community, it's important that to remain a safe community, you need to do your part.
Absolutely.
So we have the see something, say something, lock it, or leave it, lock it, lose it, which I'm not a huge fan of that one, but but I understand the concept of we don't want people to leave things in their car because whether you leave it open or not, someone, if they see something of value, could break your window and go for things that are in your car. So I think those educational campaigns are super important. I've been a big proponent of communication, getting the information out. Another reason why we started this podcast as a way to let people within a small period of time understand how they can engage better in the community, whether it's with someone from within or members of our community that are offering services or information. So I think it's great what our police department is doing. You talked a little bit about traffic. I was hoping you had the solution for traffic. I think we're all looking for that solution. And, while we understand that it's part of the growing pains of the community, focusing on public transit and things that will help that, I think you guys play a big role in obviously that part of it too. And one of the things I'm looking at is how we make better decisions from the inside in conducting traffic-related closures, right? Or street-related closures when it comes to construction and things like that, how we get police involved to help us make those decisions. I know Public Works does a lot of it, but I get a lot of complaints from residents of why did you guys decide to close this street at these peak hours? Understanding that work has to be done too on the roads, that's important for infrastructure and road work, but also understanding the impacts that creates to traffic in our community.
Sure.
Aside from many other things that we can do, such as, smart intersections and lighting and things like that, which we're looking at. So, but I think you guys play a big role in that too. Obviously, you said the biggest calls for service we get is traffic related. So, education also and training on the officer side is important.
Sure.
There has been times that I've seen where an officer has pulled over somebody in the middle and they're blocking 2 or 3 lanes, and I'm sure it's for all the right reasons, but I think those are things that we have to kind of educate and teach on and train on, understanding that this is a huge complaint that we get from residents, and so how we work together to make it better.
Of course.
Yeah, so we're looking at all those opportunities. I wanted to ask you something else, a little more personal, so people get to know you. Tell me how you got into law enforcement. I know you're a teacher first, right?
Yeah, it lasted just a short time, just to make
As a teacher?
about 2 years as a teacher. I never really thought of law enforcement as a child as a possibility of a career. I came, I was born here, but my parents came from other countries, not speaking the language. My parents kind of struggled to make ends meet as a kid. I really didn't understand a career in law enforcement wasn't the path for me until much later. So while I was a teacher, I befriended some police officers that were doing a career day at the school. And I knew that I wasn't going to be teaching long term. Just financially, it wasn't the best career.
The path, yeah.
And during that time, it was early on, a little before the real estate boom. But knowing that housing or purchasing a house would not be attainable, at least as a single source of income as a teacher, I knew that I had to try something else. So befriending this officer that was on the SWAT team after I did the career day kind of opened my eyes toward that. So I ended up becoming a school resource officer, and then had the fortunate opportunity to move up the ranks over the next 15, 16 or so years after a couple years as a school resource officer. So navigating that is kind of how I ended up in the capacity as a police executive, as a leader, and being a change agent, having the opportunity to really mentor those kids. And then what really struck hard for me was the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. 17 people died.
Were you the police
2018.
chief at the school board when that
I
happened?
was the deputy chief of police. I became the chief.
How difficult was it to
Oh.
be part of law enforcement watching that happen?
It was extremely difficult. I mean, being the just a
And
county.
in a school district, right? Because being a police chief of a city, I mean, not that it's any easier, but being the police chief of a school district at that moment.
Nothing is more difficult, in my opinion, and my colleagues often tell me the same. I mean, in terms of, or would tell me the same, in terms of being a police chief, working in a school district is arguably the most difficult police chief job because you're safeguarding kids
Yeah.
and people's treasures. But that incident occurred only about 30 or 40 miles north of us, so that
Yeah, I know, that's
that
why
really
it
home.
hit home, right?
About a month later,
remember.
I'm named the chief of police and tasked with growing the agency to
Right.
to 500 officers in a short window.
When
including
you
a cop at
when
every
you
school.
became the police chief, how many officers did the school district have at that
About
time?
160.
So you brought on board over 300 police officers.
Yes, monumental task to recruit
Yeah.
and retain police officers, which is something I'm really focusing here in Doral
Yeah.
too. We should be, the top law enforcement agency in this community. No offense to any others, but I feel
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
yeah.
Doral kind of offers the best when
Yeah.
it comes to the resources, the geographic location
Mm-hmm.
of Doral, the support that our elected officials have, the support that the residents in this community have for law enforcement. It's an amazing
We
opportunity.
see it every time we go to the cafecito with a cop, right? It's always packed and people love to come and participate and have that close relationship with our police officers.
Absolutely.
So, but I love to humanize a little bit the law enforcement industry. You have 2 kids.
I have a 7 and a 12-year-old, so it puts
Yeah.
me in a very unique spot in terms of parenting and balancing. I know that you're a mom of a little one as well, and
Yes.
it's an amazing opportunity. But being the mayor of a vibrant city
Yeah.
pulls you away many times from
Yeah.
home. It does the same for me. But it's a calling that we chose,
Yeah.
and it also provides us a unique opportunity to raise our kids, them seeing us in the life of public
Yeah,
service,
yeah.
which is pretty cool, unique opportunity. So.
What do your kids say about you being a police officer? They think it's cool. They're, what do they think about that?
Yeah, but they do think it's cool, but I think that's kind of worn off already.
Yeah.
And
They're not like, my dad's a police officer and they like to get in the police car. And
no, those days are over. It's amazing
sad.
how it is. How it is. But they have a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but they understand that, dad's not home.
The
because
responsibility.
He's helping other kids be safe, other community members be safe, and the world is not all about them. So it gives them a unique experience and an opportunity for me to raise them under that ideology.
If your son came home and said, I want to be a police officer.
Well, I can't be a hypocrite and not support it. But I think that he's going to choose a different career path.
Yeah.
And if after trying multiple options, if he falls on law enforcement, then it's a blessing, and then I'll
Yeah.
support it. But
Yeah.
I want him to venture out and really only fall into this if he really has a passion for it.
Yeah. Policing has become difficult.
It-
Like many professions, but, even like teaching and things. But,
It is
but law
because-
enforcement has become a difficult profession.
Social media has played a role many times in helping law
Yeah.
enforcement, but it's also buried law enforcement many times. It could be a routine infraction between a law enforcement officer and a resident.
Yeah.
And many times, law enforcement job is difficult, but every single word they say, every single action is scrutinized. And
Yeah.
I'm all for that oversight. But
Right.
we need to understand that certain things are caught on camera may not be all that is there when it's publicized on social media. Many times you don't see the totality of circumstances. Many times you don't see the behavior of the offender. Many times what's posted is solely the actions of the officer. And,
Right.
and if it's not in the proper context, it could look like misconduct. And many times it's not.
Sometimes it could be antagonizing.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's a difficult job.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, we value very much what you do, what your team does, what your agency, here in Doral does for us. I think it's one of the reasons Doral is such a successful community is because we are a safe community and we owe that to our police department.
Thank you.
Obviously, with you at the helm, we're very happy you chose to come and be a part of this team and make it something better. I was extremely encouraged that you took on the task because I saw the amount of respect that the officers had for you in the school district, the leaders of the school district. I know some of them were upset with us here in Doral, but I think that it's great that you've chosen to come and make Doral your home during the day and make it a better community. And we're grateful for the commitment, the service, and the responsibility that you have taken on. You know that my stance has been zero tolerance for crime in our community, and so I'm really looking forward to building on the incredible ideas that you have for our department, and really being able to enhance policing, not only for those who are part of our police department, but for those who are looking for that security in our community.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you very much for joining
you.
us. Thank you again for watching In the City con Cristi. I'm your Mayor, CHRISTI FRAGA, and this is the place where you get to learn all about the incredible people that make up the greatest place to live, work, learn, and play, Doral.